A very early morning. Good morning to you. All right. Yeah, I know I've got so much stuff to do today. That's why we're doing this so early. But we'll make it. I'm gonna do a time limit. And hopefully we'll get this done in about 15 minutes. Because like I said, Tuesday, chapter 8 is really long. So I'm not sure when will be a good point to kind of stop reading with you guys. But we'll see. We'll make this work. So, chapter 8. I'm going to bed, Finn announced, standing up from the dinner table and carrying his plate to the kitchen sink. He hadn't been to bed at this hour since elementary school. Are you not feeling well? His mother said, in shock. I'm feeling fine, he said. I'm just going to bed early if that's all right. Have you finished your homework? Yes, it's done. I stayed after for study hall. You what? She set down a bowl of mashed potatoes and crossed her arms. Finn? She eyed him suspiciously. You stayed after school to do your homework, and now you're headed to bed at 7:15. The night before last, his mother had received a call from her contact on the DHI team asking if Finn had been to the Magic Kingdom lately. Finn had denied going, feeling awful about lying, but knowing she wouldn't believe him, she grounded him. Finn didn't even try to challenge her, and that had convinced her of his guilt. If you're planning to sneak out... No way, Finn said. I'm not, I promise. He stepped forward and kissed her. Good night, Mom. I'm going to check on you when your father gets home. Okay, Finn said. Just don't wake me up, please. He added, I need a good night's sleep. He checked his computer. No interesting email. He debated logging onto VMK and looking for Charlene, but instead he changed into his pajamas, brushed his teeth, passing his mother in the hall on the way back from the bathroom. She wore her concern openly. It's only 7:15, she reminded him. We could watch The Simpsons. She trapped him. This was an offer he would never normally turn down. I'm gonna pass, Mom, but thanks. It's a bad rule, making you get approval before going. A stupid rule, really. If you took a friend to the park, well, your father and I would understand how you wouldn't have wanted to tell us. Then considered her olive branch. Amanda. He said, her name's Amanda. Relief spread across his mother's face. He feared she might hug him. She was smiling now, beaming. Night, Mom. She looked like she might cry. I'll talk to your father, was all she said. Finn knew he wouldn't be grounded by morning. He shut his bedroom door. If he crossed over to the park, he didn't want to be in his pajamas, so he changed back into jeans and a t-shirt. He lay there for 15 wakeful minutes with the lights out, checking the clock regularly. He tried to relax. Dusk played at the edges of his shades. It felt like the middle of the day. He cleared his mind, dozed off, and finally sank into a deep sleep. You're learning, said the old man's voice from behind him. Finn turned to see Wayne in khakis and a plaid shirt, sitting behind the wheel of an electric golf cart with the Walt Disney World logo painted on the front. The sky glowed faintly on the horizon. It took Finn a moment to register his location as somewhere in Frontierland, not far from Tom Sawyer Island. You just missed the fireworks display, Wayne said, stopping the cart alongside Finn. The park closed a few minutes ago. I love this time of night, especially the music. What music? Finn didn't hear any music and realized now that he'd always heard music playing in the park. The old guy was a bit daffy. Then reached out and grabbed the steel bar that supported the cart's awning. He saw the glowing hand wrap around the metal, but could also faintly see through his hand as well. Not only that, but the metal didn't feel exactly like metal. This is so weird, he confessed. Don't fight it, Wayne said. This is probably the weirdest thing I've ever done. And I've done some weird stuff, Finn said. This one time, a friend of mine and he caught himself blabbering. Instead, he told Wayne, I found Charlene. I'm still trying to locate the others. It has to be all of you. You understand that? Don't you? All or nothing. Youngsters your age, you always think it's all about you, only you. I can promise you, it has to be all of you. I want to help you. You have no choice, he said. At some point you'll understand that. Finn felt the words like drum beats in his chest. What do you mean? You know what I mean. I thought it was a dream at first, Finn said. And now? Now I don't think so. I don't know exactly what it is, if it isn't a dream, but I don't think it could be a dream. He hesitated and said, I saw the moon. Wayne nodded, cocked his head curiously. Yet something's bothering you. Charlene said it wasn't safe. You basically said the same thing. And yet here you are. You came back, Wayne said. You brought me back. Did I? Not exactly. This is a two-way street, young man. You're neither hologram nor human. You're something in between, I think. The holograms don't think for themselves, and they speak only what you recorded for them. How much you are one or the other may depend on your thinking, what you're thinking, how you're thinking it. So I'd be careful of what I was thinking if I were you. Then spotted a large gold bear by the entrance to the jungle cruise. He shook his head to clear his eyes since the bear was walking on 2 feet, and there was what looked like an oversized rat jogging to keep up with it. Is that... What? The old man said excitedly. Pooh and Piglet. Is it? There, Finn said, pointing. I told you, didn't I? Wayne was quick to lose his patience. I don't see what you see. He sounded frustrated. Pooh and Piglet, Finn was certain now. What are they doing? Walking away from us? Anything else? You're kidding, right? Finn felt like some kind of translator. I told you, things are happening in the park. You and your friends actually need to stop them. The overtakers? Yes. It isn't safe, Finn repeated. No, it's not, Wayne said, agreeing. What's that mean exactly? What did you think of the park as a small child? Magic, Finn said without second thought. He still thought of it as magic. Exactly, Wayne agreed. But there are 2 sides to magic, yes? Good magic is what you're talking about, but there's other magic besides good magic. Black magic? Finn stated. In layman's terms, but yes, a darker side to magic that few, if any, fully understand. Do you? Heavens no, but Walt did. He wrote about it. He made films, invented characters. He understood its seriousness, its potential for... But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Potential for what? Evil? Let's just put a pin in that. We'll come back to it. Finn climbed into the front seat of the golf cart. His feet disappeared. They weren't simply in shadow, they were gone. He felt a little faint. My feet, he gasped. Wayne explained. The hologram imaging system isn't set up to project to all locations. There are places we call shadows, like dead spots where cell phones don't work. Inside some attractions, they will be visible to you. The DH eyes will be visible. Other locations maybe not. Your feet inside a cart, for instance, he said, pointing. Not so good. You may be able to control this, we don't know for sure, but you're the first of your kind. Finn glanced down at his missing feet. It wasn't so bad. Okay? Wayne asked. Okay, I guess. Wayne pressed the accelerator. The cart lurched forward. "Where'd you get your license?" Finn asked, holding on for dear life. "What license?" Wayne answered, his eyes sparkling. 4 or 5 dark, shadowy figures streaked across the intersection in front of the cart. Wayne didn't see them. Finn reached over and jerked the cart's steering wheel, narrowly averting an accident. Wayne braked to a stop. "You nearly paved those guys," Finn exclaimed. "What guys?" Finn couldn't complete the sentence. Wayne hadn't seen them. Then Finn said, "Pirates." He pointed to their left, but not exactly pirates. They looked more like... Like what? More like robots? Like the lifelike pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean? And Finn realized that was it. They weren't people, but audio animatronic figures that somehow came alive. "Never mind," Finn said, not wanting to sound crazy. A group of the figures was pushing a line of small blue cars ahead of them. Finn thought he recognized the cars but couldn't associate them with any particular attraction. He was stuck on the idea of some of the AAs, but they were only machines. Had come alive. Was that possible? Wayne asked. "How many?" 5? "No, 6, including the guy with the hat." "Interesting. What guy with the hat?" Finn didn't want to go there. He'd call them pirates and that was it. "You really can't see them?" "Me? Heavens, no. I see the cars, but nothing else," Wayne said excitedly. "And if you can see them, then maybe you can stop them. Or at least try to stop them." "Stop them from what, exactly?" 3 nights ago, at the end of the Fantasmic show, the dragon set Mickey on fire. Obviously, that's not supposed to happen. Mickey is supposed to win. He jumped into the water. He was all right. The crowd laughed. They didn't get it. But Mickey could be in serious trouble. And then what? But those are actors, right? The dragon is a machine, an audio animatronics machine. But the machine malfunctioned, didn't it? It did something that it's not programmed to do. How is that possible? How can that be explained? Finn thought, what a strange old man. Wayne said, "You think I'm a strange old man." "Do not. You're the chosen leader of the DHIs. Don't question it. Accept it. Without you, Finn, there is no plan." "What plan?" Finn gulped. Wayne seemed so serious all of a sudden. Finn sensed something behind and to his right. He spun around and saw her. Charlene. His breath caught. She was glowing. A fuzzy light sputtered at the edges of her body and all around her head like a halo. She wore a white nightgown. Her hair danced in the wind. Some distance behind her stood Philby. He wore school clothes like Finn. Finn recognized him immediately. They were missing Maybeck and Willa. "Hey there," a gruff voice called out. Finn turned. The pirate in the black hat was addressing him. "Me?" Finn's expression said, though he kept his mouth shut. Wayne asked, "What's happening?" "Don't get ahead of yourself," he warned. Charlene and Philby moved steadily closer. Wayne, appearing distraught, admonished Finn. "You must not get ahead of yourself." Finn climbed out of the golf cart. Then, concentrating, he walked right through the cart to the other side. "It's all about what I'm thinking," he'd realized. "If I focus on being a DHI, I'm nothing but light." A shimmering Charlene approached a tree. She tried to walk through, but crashed into it instead. "How'd you do that?" she asked. "Why can't I do it?" She asked Wayne. Wayne seemed flustered. "You all need more time." He glared at Finn. The harsh grinding of metal dragging on pavement interrupted them as the pirates pushed the line of blue cars. The one in the hat, with a broad mustache and thick black beard, hollered out, "Ahoy there, matey! Lend us a hand, if you will." Finn stayed where he was. "I said lend a hand," hollered the elaborately dressed man. Behind him, more scruffy pirates. Machines pushed and dragged the blue cars. All of a sudden, Finn recognized them as the cars from Buzz Lightyear ride. He'd been on it a dozen times. "I'll pass, thank you," Finn said. "Pass? I gave you an order, me boy. Now heave to," the captain growled. "An order? I don't think so," Finn replied. Charlene stepped back and dragged Philby with her. They ducked behind the tree. "The name's Blackbeard," the man said. His mouth moved like a puppet's. His arms and legs moved stiffly. His eyes mechanically shifted from left to the right. Their motion disconnected from his speech. Finn felt a spike of fear but hid it. "Is that so? And I'm supposed to be Jack Sparrow?" he asked, smirking. The captain stepped forward boldly, still a ways off. "Easy now." The pirates stopped their pushing. They gathered behind their captain. Finn counted 6 in all. They were dressed in ill-fitting costumes. They had scars on their faces and scabs on their hairy legs. They went barefoot, wearing dark pants that stopped at their calves and blue and white striped shirts. But they weren't human. Blackbeard drew his sword. His 6 pirates drew knives. "I said lend a hand. You're my conscript now, lad. I'd be obliged if you hove to." "You're not ready," Wayne hissed at Finn from the shadows. I'd help you if I could see them, but I can't." Finn felt a jolt of terror, unsure of what to do. His legs, wobbly and rigid, were unwilling to move. He figured he could run faster than a bunch of mechanical pirates, but wasn't sure he wanted to test the theory. Besides, he couldn't budge. Finn looked back. 4 glowing eyes, like cat's eyes, shone from behind a tree. Charlene and Philby. "What are you doing with those cars?" Finn asked the captain, stalling. "Think. You might could say I wasn't borrowing them, laddie. Or you might could say the Space Ranger spin is under repair." He tilted his head and cast an evil eye in Finn's direction. "I've seen you before, Jack Sparrow. Now where would that be?" "I don't believe we've met," Finn said. "He's one of them hosts, Captain," a smallish man with frog eyes called out. The man's right arm continually lifted up and down, up and down. This was apparently the motion he made in his role of the attraction, and he couldn't stop it. "A host," the captain declared. "A new ride, is that what you're telling me?" His pirates mumbled. "We don't care much for new rides," the captain explained in a dry, cold voice. "Don't much care for them at all." "Do I look like a ride?" Finn asked, his voice trembling. "I'm just a boy." "You're my boy now," the captain declared. "Ain't he, lads?" His pirates all nodded in chorus. He said to Finn, "Now, be a good boy and lend us a hand." "I'd prefer not to," Finn said. "If you don't mind, I'll be on my way." He summoned his courage and turned. "You don't turn your back on your captain, youngster. I said halt." Finn stopped and glanced back over his shoulder. The captain signaled his crew. They reacted immediately like a bunch of well-trained dogs. They fanned out. They were not exactly fast on their mechanical legs and feet, but they were steady and worked well as a team. I think that's where we will stop for part 1 of chapter 8, and we will continue on with the Kingdom Keepers on Sunday evening. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, and I will see y'all later.